Plastic Adventures podcast, and on today's episode of Plastic Bits, we're going to be talking about one of my very favorite retro redos, Masters of the Universe Origins He-Man Retail Version B.
So here's what we're looking at, guys. The figure on the left is the new Masters of the Universe Origins He-Man Retail Release Version B, and the figure that you're seeing on the right is the original He-Man. Why do I call him Retail Release Version B? Well, there's actually been a couple of versions of this figure. The very first version featured a brand new head sculpt, what many would call the Spicoli from Fast Times at Ridgemont High head sculpt. It was a pretty big departure from the original, and did get a lot of blowback from the fans. So once that initial release sort of ran its course, we saw the Retail Version B pop up. Originally it was on Amazon, and eventually it found its way out to retail. I saw some at both Fred Meyer's here in the Tri-Cities recently, and version B features a more accurate head sculpt to the original figure. So there's your differences between A and B. Aside from that, this figure is what Doug and I often refer to as retro done right. Why is that? Well, when you take a look at it, aside from some of the color differences, the brighter colors on the hair and the belt and the highlights on the boots, it's really tough to discern from an original He-Man figure. I mean, as you take a look at these, aside from maybe just having the brighter colors, at first glance you'd never know the difference, but there are some subtle differences. The new figure features enhanced articulation at the elbows, also at the hip joints. There's no more leg bands, it's just plugged in with a regular rotational joint. And you got it at the knees, you've got it at the calves, you've got it at the ankles and the wrists. So He-Man can darn near hold aloft his magic sword and say, by the power of Grayskull. So as we're taking a look at this and it's rotating around, you'll notice that he's loaded out with the same gear. Comes with the battle axe, comes with a shield, comes with a power sword. But one of the other kind of cool key differences here is the new figure actually features a place intentionally built in that can hold the axe, or it can hold the power sword. Seems kind of like a trivial feature, but if you were a fan of the TV show as a kid like I was, one of the coolest things was that He-Man had this sheath on his back and he could pack his sword around with him. Regardless of the fact of whether he actually used the sword for anything on the show, due to restrictions, etc. But anyways, what we're seeing here is just a very careful and respectful redo of an original toy. And these are even packaged almost identically to the original toys. They've got the cross-cell art on the backs. They feature some hand-drawn art. So, I mean, top to bottom, it's just a terrific build. Hits that nostalgia button just perfectly. And another cool feature of these figures is that I believe when they were designed, customizability was a big thing. The arms pop out very easily at the shoulders, the heads come off really easy, and at the waist you can actually detach the figure. Almost everything is very readily able to be disassembled, except for the hip joints. I ran into a little trouble when I was doing a custom Wondar/Savage/Wonder He-Man. I wanted to take the legs off so I could paint the inside of the shorts, and just completely broke the figure's leg off. So that does bring me to another point. These figures do not feature the torsion spring. So unfortunately, the only downside is that we're missing out on that waist twist power punch. But when you look at all the bright side of the figure, it really is a lot packed into a normal retail release. So if you're on the fence about it, or you're looking to get a little bit of those memories back or that feeling of nostalgia, these can still be had from about 15 to 20 bucks while the getting's good. I'm sure that they're going to be on clearance here soon to make way for new figures, but it's a great way to capture some of that nostalgia and not be out like 80 to 150 bucks for a vintage He-Man. So let me know what you think in the comments. Tell me what you love about the figure. Tell me what you hate about the figure, and we'll see you in the toy aisles.